Someone disrespects you. Maybe they insult you. Maybe they embarrass you in front of other people. Maybe they speak to you as if you are beneath them. Maybe they ignore you deliberately, criticize you unfairly, or say something they know will hurt you. And immediately, something changes inside you. Your heart beats faster. Your body becomes tense. Your mind begins preparing a response. You want to defend yourself. You want to prove them wrong. You want to make sure they understand that they cannot treat you that way. And sometimes, you want to hurt them exactly the way they hurt you. But before you react, remember this. The moment another person gains control over your emotions, they gain control over you. Think about that. Someone says a few words, and suddenly they control your heartbeat, your thoughts, your mood, your attention, maybe even the rest of your day. They walk away. But the conversation continues inside your head. You replay what they said. You imagine what you should have said. You create arguments that never happened. You imagine confronting them again. Hours later, they may have forgotten the entire situation, but you are still carrying it. So who really won? Nearly 2,000 years ago, the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius faced something far greater than an insulting comment. He faced betrayal, political enemies, war, disease, personal loss, criticism. People questioned his decisions. Others attempted to manipulate him. Some wanted his position. Some wanted his failure. And yet Marcus Aurelius spent years training himself to understand one fundamental truth. You cannot always control what other people do, but you can control what happens inside you. And that difference changes everything. Because when someone disrespects you, your greatest danger is not necessarily what they said. Your greatest danger is allowing their behavior to decide who you become in the next moment. Today, we're going to explore one of the most powerful lessons of Stoicism: how to deal with disrespect without losing your dignity, how to respond without becoming emotional, how to recognize when silence is strength, and when you need to establish a boundary, and most importantly, how to stop giving other people control over your inner world. Because there is one thing you should never do when someone disrespects you. Never surrender control of yourself. Imagine this. You're at work. Someone makes a disrespectful comment about you in front of other people. Everyone hears it. For a few seconds, the room becomes uncomfortable. Your mind immediately gives you instructions. Say something. Defend yourself. Don't let them get away with that. Show everyone you're not weak. And this is where most people make their first mistake. They believe they must respond immediately. But why? Why does your response have to happen in the next 3 seconds? Why does another person's behavior suddenly determine your schedule? They chose the moment to insult you. And now they also get to choose the moment when you respond. No. You can pause. You can look at them. You can breathe. You can decide. That small space between what happens to you and what you do next is where your power lives. And most people give that power away. They react before thinking. They speak before understanding. They attack before deciding whether the battle is even worth fighting. Then later, they regret what they said. Marcus Aurelius understood something extraordinary about human behavior. People act according to what they believe is right, even when their beliefs are deeply flawed. An arrogant person may believe arrogance makes them powerful. A cruel person may believe cruelty protects them. An insecure person may attack others because making someone else smaller temporarily makes them feel larger. Understanding this doesn't excuse their behavior. It gives you perspective, and perspective gives you control. Instead of immediately thinking, "How dare they do this to me?" you can ask a different question. Why does this person need to behave this way? That question changes your position. You stop becoming the victim of their behavior and start becoming the observer of it. And an observer can make decisions. A victim only reacts. This is one of the most important distinctions you can learn. You do not need to absorb another person's emotional state. If someone is angry, you don't have to become angry. If someone is disrespectful, you don't have to become disrespectful. If someone behaves without dignity, you don't have to join them. Imagine someone throws mud at you. Would your first response be to pick up the mud and cover yourself with it? Of course not. Yet emotionally, that's exactly what we often do. Someone gives us anger, and we accept it. Someone gives us bitterness, and we carry it. Someone gives us disrespect, and we spend the next 6 hours thinking about it. We allow someone else's chaos to become our chaos, and then we call it defending ourselves. But sometimes, the strongest form of self-defense is refusing to participate. There is a reason silence can make an angry person uncomfortable. They expect resistance. They expect emotion. They expect you to defend yourself. They expect access to your nervous system. And when you don't give it to them, they lose control of the interaction. But understand this carefully. Stoicism does not mean becoming passive. It does not mean allowing people to abuse you. It does not mean accepting humiliation. It does not mean staying in harmful situations. Stoicism is not weakness. It is disciplined strength. There is an enormous difference between silence caused by fear and silence chosen through control. One says, "I am afraid to speak." The other says, "This does not deserve my energy." There is also a difference between walking away because you are powerless and walking away because the situation is beneath the person you are trying to become. Sometimes you must speak. Sometimes you must establish boundaries. Sometimes you must say, "Do not speak to me that way." Sometimes you must leave. Sometimes you must remove someone from your life. Sometimes consequences are necessary. The Stoic lesson isn't never respond. The lesson is never allow emotion to choose your response for you. That distinction can save relationships, careers, friendships, and years of unnecessary suffering. Think about the last serious argument you had, maybe with your partner, a friend, a family member, a coworker. Someone said something that hurt you. Then you responded. But you didn't respond only to what they said. You added something else. Maybe you brought up something they did 6 months ago. Then they remembered something you did a year ago. Then you attacked their character. They attacked yours. 5 minutes later, you were no longer discussing the original problem. You were fighting for victory. And when two people are trying to win, the relationship usually loses. This is what emotional reaction does. It expands the battlefield. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly reminded himself to return to reason. Not because he didn't experience anger. He did. Not because people never disappointed him. They did. Not because he was emotionally invincible. He wasn't. That is precisely why he practiced. Stoicism is not the absence of emotion. It is the training of emotion. You will feel anger. You will feel disappointment. You will feel hurt. You will feel the desire to respond. The goal isn't to pretend those feelings don't exist. The goal is to prevent temporary emotions from creating permanent consequences. One angry minute can destroy a relationship that took 10 years to build. One impulsive message can damage a career. One emotional decision can create months of regret. And one moment of restraint can prevent all of it. This is why your first response to disrespect should not be action. It should be awareness. Notice what is happening inside you. Your breathing changes. Your muscles tighten. Your thoughts accelerate. Your ego begins demanding justice. Notice it. Don't fight it. Don't judge it. Simply recognize it. I'm angry. I feel disrespected. I want to respond. Good. Now you know what is happening. And once you can observe an emotion, you are no longer completely controlled by it. Then ask yourself a simple question. What outcome do I actually want? Not, what do I want to say? Not, how do I hurt them back? Not, how do I prove I'm right? What outcome do I want? Maybe you want the person to understand that their behavior is unacceptable. Then communicate that clearly. Maybe you want to preserve the relationship. Then don't say something designed to destroy it. Maybe this person is intentionally provoking you. Then refusing to react may be the strongest response. Maybe this person repeatedly crosses your boundaries. Then perhaps the answer isn't another argument. Perhaps the answer is distance. Different situations require different responses, but they should all come from the same place. Control. Consider another situation. Someone sends you a disrespectful message. You read it. Immediately your fingers begin typing. You write 3 paragraphs. Delete them. Write 4 more. You want to send the perfect response. The response that makes them realize how wrong they are. The response that proves your intelligence. The response that wins. Stop. Put the phone down. Why must you answer now? Because your ego wants relief. That's often what immediate retaliation really is. Emotional relief. You want to transfer the discomfort you're experiencing back to the other person. They hurt you. You hurt them. Now you feel balanced for 5 minutes. Then comes another message, and another response, and another. Soon 2 people have spent an entire evening exchanging anger, while convincing themselves they're solving a problem. Sometimes the most powerful button on your phone is not send, it's lock. Walk away. Return when your mind is clear. Then decide whether the message deserves a response at all. You will discover something surprising when you begin practicing this. Many things that feel urgent in the moment become irrelevant after an hour. This is why time is such a powerful tool. Emotion says, now. Wisdom says, wait. Emotion says, make them understand. Wisdom asks, do they even want to understand? Emotion says, you cannot let them get away with this. Wisdom asks, what does winning actually look like here? These questions protect you from unnecessary battles. And you need to understand something else. Not every accusation deserves a defense. This is extremely difficult for many people. Someone misunderstands you, and you desperately want to correct them. Someone thinks you're selfish. You want to explain why you're not. Someone questions your decisions. You give them the entire story. Someone criticizes you. You produce evidence. Why? Because somewhere inside you is the belief that peace will come when everyone understands you. It won't. There will always be people who misunderstand you. There will always be people who interpret your intentions incorrectly. There will always be people who dislike you. There will always be people who judge decisions they know nothing about. If your peace requires universal approval, you will never have peace. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire. Imagine the number of opinions surrounding him. Every decision created supporters and critics. Every military decision affected thousands. Every political choice created opposition. If he had needed everyone to understand him before acting, he would have been incapable of leadership. The same principle applies to your life. You cannot build your character around other people's interpretation of you. Your responsibility is your behavior, your intentions, your principles, your actions. Their interpretation belongs to them. This doesn't mean criticism should always be ignored. Sometimes criticism is valuable. Sometimes the person criticizing you sees something you cannot see. Stoicism isn't about believing you're always right. It's about examining things without being ruled by ego. So when someone criticizes you, ask yourself, is there truth in this? If there is, learn. If there isn't, why carry it? This simple distinction is incredibly powerful. If someone tells you something true about yourself, they have given you information. Use it. If someone tells you something false about yourself, they have given you noise. Release it. Neither situation requires rage. Imagine someone calls you lazy. If you know you've been avoiding your responsibilities, perhaps the comment hurts because part of it is true. Then don't attack the messenger. Improve yourself. But if you wake up every morning, fulfill your responsibilities, work toward your goals, and know you're disciplined, then why should one person's word rewrite reality? A bird doesn't stop flying because someone on the ground says it cannot fly. Reality doesn't require permission. Neither does your character. This leads to another Stoic principle. Your reputation is not entirely yours. Your character is. You can spend your entire life managing what other people think about you, or you can spend your life becoming someone worth respecting. Those are very different pursuits. The first creates anxiety. The second creates strength. And here's the strange thing. The more desperately you demand respect, the less powerful you often appear. Think about truly confident people. They don't need to win every disagreement. They don't need the last word. They don't need to correct every misunderstanding. They don't need to announce their strength. Their behavior communicates it. A person who constantly says, "You need to respect me," often reveals that they don't feel respected internally. But someone who calmly establishes boundaries and is willing to walk away doesn't need to announce anything. Their actions speak. There is tremendous power in being willing to leave a situation without performing. No dramatic speech, no revenge, no final insult, just a decision. This is no longer acceptable to me. And then, distance. Some people only understand boundaries when they experience consequences. You can explain a boundary 10 times, but if nothing changes when they cross it, you haven't established a boundary. You've expressed a preference. A boundary requires action. If someone repeatedly insults you, reduce their access to you. If someone repeatedly manipulates you, stop giving them opportunities to manipulate you. If someone consistently destroys your peace, stop inviting them into it. You do not need hatred to create distance. You do not need revenge. You do not need to convince them they were wrong. You can simply decide, this relationship no longer deserves this level of access to my life, and move forward. That can be far more powerful than 1,000 arguments. Because revenge keeps you connected. Hatred keeps you connected. Obsession keeps you connected. Constantly checking whether they regret losing you keeps you connected. True detachment means you no longer require anything from them. Not an apology, not regret, not recognition, not suffering, nothing. You continue your life. And this is where Stoicism becomes much deeper than learning how to handle an insult. It's about ownership. Who owns your mind? Who decides what deserves your attention? Who decides how long an unpleasant moment gets to live inside your head? Think about this carefully. Someone insults you for 10 seconds. Then you think about it for 10 hours. Who created most of your suffering? The person created 10 seconds. Your mind created the rest. This doesn't mean the original behavior was acceptable. It means you have the power to stop extending it. Marcus Aurelius understood that our interpretation of events often creates more suffering than the events themselves. An event happens. Then the mind begins telling a story. They embarrassed me. Everyone thinks I'm weak. I should have said this. I can't believe I allowed that. Next time I'll show them. And now the event isn't happening outside you anymore. It's happening inside you. Again and again and again. This is why mental discipline matters. You must learn to recognize when the event has ended. But your mind refuses to leave. When you catch yourself replaying disrespect, ask, is this happening right now? Usually the answer is no. Then why am I experiencing it again? Return to the present. Look around. Breathe. Continue what you are doing. Do not give 10 seconds of someone else's bad behavior 10 hours of your life. Your time is too valuable. Your attention is too valuable. Your peace is too valuable. There is another reason we struggle with disrespect. Identity. We create an image of ourselves. Intelligent, successful, strong, attractive, important, good. And when someone challenges that image, the ego feels threatened. This is why an insult from a stranger can sometimes bother us far more than it logically should. They don't know us. We may never see them again. Yet one comment can ruin our mood. Why? Because the ego doesn't care who fired the arrow. It only knows it has been hit. Stoicism asks us to build something deeper than ego. Character. Ego says, they need to know who I am. Character says, I know who I am. Ego says, I need to prove them wrong. Character says, my actions will reveal the truth. Ego says, I need the last word. Character says, I need self-control. Ego is loud. Character rarely needs to be. And when you understand this, disrespect begins to lose some of its power. Because the insult no longer reaches the deepest part of you, you see it for what it is: words, behavior, an opinion, perhaps an expression of someone else's frustration, perhaps jealousy, perhaps insecurity, perhaps legitimate criticism delivered badly. Whatever it is, you examine it. You don't automatically become it. This is the skill. And like every skill, it requires practice. So here is a simple Stoic method you can begin using today. The next time someone disrespects you, remember 4 steps. Pause, observe, decide, act. Pause. Do not immediately react. Give yourself several seconds. If necessary, give yourself several hours. Observe. What are you feeling? Anger, embarrassment, fear? Is your ego demanding retaliation? Then decide, what outcome do you want? Does this require a response, a boundary, distance, or nothing? Then act. Calmly, deliberately, without giving your dignity away. Pause, observe, decide, act. The simplicity is what makes it powerful, because in emotional situations, complicated philosophy isn't useful if you cannot remember it. 4 words: pause, observe, decide, act. Suppose someone insults you during a meeting. Pause. Don't immediately defend yourself. Observe. You're embarrassed because other people heard it. Your ego wants to restore your status. Decide. This behavior cannot continue, but shouting will damage your position. Act. You calmly say, I am happy to discuss the issue, but let's keep the conversation respectful. Then continue. No performance, no explosion, no surrender. Control. Or imagine someone insults you online. Pause. Observe. This person doesn't know you. They're trying to provoke you. Decide. There is nothing useful to gain. Act. Nothing. Close the app. Continue your day. You just protected an hour of your life. Or imagine someone you love says something cruel during an argument. Pause. Observe. You're hurt. You want to hurt them back. Decide. You care about this relationship, but the behavior is unacceptable. Act. Tell them calmly that you will continue the conversation when both of you can speak respectfully. Then step away. Again. Not weakness, control. Now imagine a different situation. Someone repeatedly disrespects you. You've communicated. You've established boundaries. Nothing changes. Pause. Observe. You're no longer dealing with a single mistake. You're dealing with a pattern. Decide. Your peace requires distance. Act. Leave. Sometimes the most stoic response is not tolerating more. It is accepting reality. And reality may be that this person is not going to change. Many people waste years waiting for someone to become the person they hope they would be. They keep explaining, forgiving, arguing, begging, giving another chance, and another, and another. At some point, wisdom asks a painful question. What if this is simply who they are choosing to be? You cannot control their character, but you can control their access to your life. That is your responsibility. Marcus Aurelius could not control every person in Rome. He couldn't eliminate selfishness. He couldn't eliminate betrayal. He couldn't force everyone to behave honorably. But he could decide what kind of man he would be in response. And so can you. You will meet difficult people. You will be misunderstood. You will be criticized unfairly. Someone will underestimate you. Someone will gossip about you. Someone may betray you. Someone may disrespect you, despite everything you've done for them. You cannot build a life where none of these things happen, but you can build a mind that is prepared when they do. That is real strength. Not controlling the world, controlling yourself within it. And perhaps that's what inner strength actually means. It isn't becoming emotionless. It isn't becoming cold. It isn't never feeling pain. Inner strength is feeling the emotion without becoming its servant. It is hearing the insult without allowing it to define you. It is experiencing anger without allowing anger to make your decisions. It is being capable of retaliation and still choosing wisdom. Anyone can be calm when everyone treats them well. Anyone can be kind when life is easy. Anyone can appear disciplined when nothing is testing them. Character is revealed when something pushes against it. The disrespectful person may believe they are testing your weakness. In reality, they are giving you an opportunity to practice your strength. The next time someone tries to provoke you, look at the situation differently. Instead of thinking, "Why is this happening to me?" Think, "Here is my opportunity to practice patience, discipline, perspective, boundaries, self-respect, control." Suddenly, the person who wanted to disturb you becomes part of your training, and that changes everything. There is an old mistake people make when thinking about strength. They imagine strength as domination, being louder, being more intimidating, winning every confrontation, making other people fear you. But the Stoics understood a harder form of strength, self-mastery. Think about how difficult it is to remain calm when someone deliberately attacks your ego. Think about how difficult it is to walk away when you know you could destroy someone with your words. Think about how difficult it is to remain dignified when someone else has abandoned theirs. That requires far more strength than shouting. Anyone can lose control. It takes training to keep it. And every difficult interaction gives you another repetition, another opportunity, another chance to become the person you claim you want to be. So perhaps you should stop asking, how do I make people stop disrespecting me? Because you cannot completely control that. Ask instead, how do I become so internally disciplined that disrespect no longer controls my behavior? That question puts the power back where it belongs, with you. And there is one final idea I want you to remember. Your life is limited. Marcus Aurelius thought constantly about mortality, not to become depressed, but to become clear. One day, your time will run out. So ask yourself, how much of that limited time do you want to spend arguing with people who don't matter? How many hours do you want to spend replaying insults? How many evenings will you sacrifice thinking about what someone said? How many years will you spend trying to prove yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you? Your attention is part of your life. Where you place your attention, you place your life. So protect it. Not everything deserves a response. Not every person deserves an explanation. Not every accusation deserves a defense. Not every battle deserves your presence. Sometimes walking away is the victory. Sometimes silence is the answer. Sometimes a clear boundary is necessary. And sometimes you simply look at the person in front of you and realize, I refuse to become like you just because you decided to treat me badly. That is strength. The next time someone disrespects you, remember what we discussed today. Pause, observe, decide, act. Don't surrender control of your emotions. Don't allow someone else's lack of discipline to destroy yours. Don't confuse revenge with strength. Don't confuse silence with weakness. And don't spend your limited life trying to control opinions that were never yours to control. You don't become powerful when people stop disrespecting you. You become powerful when their disrespect can no longer control you. Remember that, because sooner or later, someone will test you. Someone will say the wrong thing. Someone will challenge your patience. Someone will misunderstand you. And in that moment, you will have a choice. You can give them your anger, your attention, your peace, your time, your control. Or you can keep it. Your reaction belongs to you. Don't give it away. And if this message found you at the right moment, subscribe to Inner Strength. We're building something here. A place for people who want more than temporary motivation. A place to study the principles that have helped human beings face adversity for thousands of years. Discipline, wisdom, self-control, courage, and the quiet strength that comes from mastering yourself. But there's another trap that is even more difficult to escape. Because sometimes, even when you don't react, you still feel the need to explain yourself, to make people understand you, to convince them that you're right, to prove that you're not the person they think you are. And that need for explanation can become another form of dependence. In the next video, we're going to talk about why you need to stop explaining yourself to people who have already decided not to understand you. Until then, protect your attention, protect your character, protect your peace. And remember, the strongest person in the room is often not the one who speaks the loudest. It is the one who remains in control of himself.